Welcome to Breakdown. SEC versus the Big Ten. It's March 21st, 2023. JJ,
Dad,
the madness, is it cooling down a little bit or is it still at a high level?
I think it's bubbling. I think it's still. I think it's still pretty hot.
You ready to break it down?
Let's break down.
Okay, Big Ten, SEC. They both started with 9 teams. We've done
Eight
with
teams.
18. We're
Yeah.
done with week one.
Yeah.
Who won week one? First weekend.
Well, I would have to say the team that's tied for the lead, along with the Big East, that would be the SEC. I mean, the conference tied for the lead. That's the SEC. They have 3 teams left:
Okay.
Alabama, Tennessee, and
WPS. Woo Pig Suey.
Arkansas
And
Razorbacks.
the Big Ten has?
They only have one team left. It's not a guy that you would be surprised to see, though. It's Tom Izzo's Michigan State Spartans. Even though they're a 7 seed, Tom Izzo just took the lead for the most wins as an underdog seed in all time. He has 16. He was tied with Jim Boeheim for 15 last year.
Okay.
But he's in sole ownership of that lead now. So even though he has a 7 seed to his name, that doesn't mean he can't make a Final Four.
Mr. Madness.
Yeah.
Coach March Madness, the coach. Michigan Spartans come to life in March, and they've done it again.
Michigan
What
State
happened?
does.
What happened to Michigan? I mean, what happened to Purdue?
Purdue lost to a team that doesn't play anybody that's over 6'1" for the most part. Fairleigh Dickinson out of New Jersey. They lost to a 16 seed, becoming the second team in NCAA tournament history to do that. Along with
Okay,
the
now-
2019 Virginia.
Now their 2 guards are under 6 feet. They're 5 something for both of them. Doesn't Purdue have like a giant on their team?
The presumptive National Player of the Year, Zach Edey. He was always going to be, he was always going to get his for the most part. It wasn't about him. It was about Purdue's guards, unfortunately. The freshmen.
How disappointed you, or how surprised are you by that loss?
I'm a little surprised. I mean, if you told me a one seed was going to lose, I would have absolutely picked Purdue, even given the height discrepancy. I know a little bit about Fairleigh Dickinson just because I know they won 4 games last year, and I know that they play such an undersized lineup. They're all about speed and constant kinetic movement. I would have given them the opportunity to lose. I would have expected them to be the 1 seed to lose, but I still would have expected them to win because it's only happened once before then. No one, I don't think, would have expected that. How big of a favor were they?
I don't know, but you know what? They were such a big favor in my own mind that I didn't even bother checking it because to me, it was an automatic. I would not have had them. I don't know. I probably would have taken Kansas to lose in the first round, to tell you the truth. But you know what?
That's true. I mean, I understand that with the coaching situation and everything, like the tumultuous nature of that. But I mean, Matt Painter, he's lost to a 16 seed this year, a 15 seed last year, a 13 seed, a 12 seed, an 11 seed, and he finds ways to
JJ,
underachieve a little bit.
in 2021, Big Ten got 9 teams to the dance.
Yeah.
They went 8-9.
Mm-hmm.
In 2022, they got 9 teams to the dance.
8.
I'm sorry.
8.
In 22?
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh,
Yeah, in 22. In 2022, I'm going back 3 years.
Yeah.
In 2021, they got 9.
Okay.
They won 9 games, and they went 9 and they went. I'm sorry, they went 8-9 in 2021.
Okay.
In 2022, they got 9 teams. They went 9-9. And this year, they got 8 teams, and so far they're 6-7.
Yeah.
Is this becoming a broken record?
No. Every year's a unique situation unto itself. I don't really know.
Well, the Big Ten has no problem getting the most teams invited. I mean, the last 3 years, they either had the most or was tied for the most.
Yeah.
I don't know. How comfortable are you with Michigan State carrying the banter for the Big Ten?
Very comfortable because of their recruiting class next year. The Big Ten
I'm
doesn't.
talking about this year.
Very comfortable given Tom Izzo's history.
Okay. So am I. And their point guard play, their lockdown defense, and the ability to shoot the threes at a relatively high percentage.
Yeah, and their ability to protect the rim. Matty Sissoko came on at the right time, and a lot of people. I listen to a lot of different podcasts that of Michigan State's opponents, and a lot of their strategies were to like, just go right at Matty Sissoko and play him off the court, and they weren't able to do that.
Okay.
So.
SEC, three teams in the still in the dance
Mm-hmm.
in the Sweet 16. Man, what SEC team will be the first to lose? Tennessee, Arkansas, or Alabama? Arkansas is going up against UConn.
Yeah.
Alabama is going up against, who's Alabama going against? San Diego State.
Mm-hmm.
And Tennessee is going up against
Florida Atlantic.
Yes.
Mm.
Which of those three teams is most likely to drop out of the Sweet 16 first?
Unfortunately, it'd have to be the Arkansas Razorbacks.
I beg to differ.
Well,
He says Arkansas Razorbacks. He's just kidding, I hope.
yeah.
Tell me why. Why.
Alabama is the number 1 overall seed for a reason. And San Diego State, congratulations on the win, but I'm pretty sure Mountain West hadn't won a game in the NCAA tournament since 2012 for a decade, and no team in the Mountain West has ever made it to an Elite Eight. So
Alabama's looking safe. You telling me?
You used to have like a Pacific Coast bias against basketball teams in a lot of ways. I don't normally buy into it, but in case of San Diego State, history isn't being kind to them, and Alabama looks pretty hard to stop.
They do.
And then Florida Atlantic, Tennessee.
Florida Atlantic beat Memphis.
Yeah, they did.
And then they beat FDU. Very ridiculous.
They beat Memphis by 1 in a game that Memphis led for most of the second half, and they beat Fairleigh Dickinson, a 16 seed that was tied with 6 minutes to go. FAU could beat Tennessee for sure.
Tennessee is without their point guard.
Yeah, Zakai Ziegler is out,
Okay.
but they looked really good against Duke without their point guard. And Duke, had won 10 games in a row, won the ACC conference tournament, easily could have won the ACC regular season as well. Duke was playing really good ball, and Tennessee really just, their defense came in and put a stop to anything and everything that Duke wanted to do. And I just have a feeling that FAU is going to have that same. No disrespect, but Arkansas has to play like UConn. UConn's a different.
Okay, time out.
UConn was ranked number 1 in the country at one point this year.
Arkansas played Kansas. Was Kansas ranked number 1 in the country this year?
Yeah, that's true.
So Arkansas, when it comes to March, last year they knocked out.
Yeah, but one team you can bring Arkansas to is Alabama. So that's a non-starter. They're the number 1 team in the tournament. Okay. So we can just put them over here.
Okay, let's talk about Arkansas versus 1 seed.
Okay.
The last 2 years they knocked them out.
Okay.
They knocked out Gonzaga last year. Mm-hmm. They were the number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
This year they knocked out Kansas, number 1 seed. Talent for talent, UConn is better than Arkansas, man for man.
I think that's what Vegas would say. They have a little bit more size and positions. Arkansas, I think they're a little bit better able to match up against with a guy like Jordan Walsh's length. He really kind of took out what was his name, Jalen Wilson for Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
He really took him out in the second half. I don't think he had a field goal or anything like that. He really bothered him with his length. But UConn has a couple of guys that.
What's the one guy? The 6'9". I can't think of his name. Gosh, Sunoco.
Yeah, Sunoco. Yeah, that's one of them.
I maybe mispronounced his name, but yeah, to me he's impressive.
Yeah, he's good. And then they have another guy about the same size, similar build, similar size. Arkansas has really good guards, but and Anthony Black is a big guard, 6'7". Ricky Council is 6'6". I think Nick Smith Jr. is listed at 6'5". He doesn't really play like 6'5".
No, he doesn't.
But Devo Davis, he's a 6'4", but he can guard up. Like he was guarding Jalen Wilson in the first half and doing an admirable job for like the height discrepancy he was giving up.
Okay, JJ, it's down to 16 teams. We're gonna go through some of the matchup for all these 16 teams right now, the games, kind of quickly. We're not gonna go too quick. We're gonna spend some time analyzing. And then now after 16 teams, you're gonna reassess your bracket, because when we started out, you had Duke going to the Final Four, who's no longer there. I had Kentucky going to the Final Four, who's no longer there. But our other 3 teams are still capable of making the Final Four run. So let's start at the South, And we're going to go and pick the matchup, and pick a winner. You've already told me Alabama, San Diego State.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bama.
No, okay, and I will too.
Yeah.
Creighton and Princeton. We hadn't talked about Princeton.
Yeah, I think Princeton is underrated.
A 15 seed.
They're a 15 seed. They're a pretty athletic. They're more athletic than most Ivy League teams that you would expect to see. They have shooters and they have like guards that can get by people, and they have they have real rim protection. Having said all that, I'm gonna go with Creighton. Who you going with? Who you taking?
I will go with Creighton. For a while, Creighton was ranked in the top 10 early in the year. To start the year off, they were predicted really to be really good.
Yeah.
I think they're getting back to their form to where they were supposed to be. I know they beat Arkansas in Maui during the season earlier. So we're in agreement with Alabama and Creighton.
Yeah, Creighton. They have Andrew Nimhard's little brother, former Gonzaga point guard, and Florida point guard before that. Ryan Nimhard. He had 35 points. I think you couldn't stay in front of him his last game. So,
and we both had Bama getting to the Final Four, Alabama. Mm-hmm. So we will stay with that. Let's go to the East. Okay. We're gonna have Tennessee going up against Florida Atlantic.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Tennessee. They look pretty good without Zakai Ziegler. They seem to have depth at the point guard position.
They play defense.
They lock up. That's for sure. Florida Atlantic. I know that they've only lost 3 games this entire year.
That's true.
But Conference USA is a little different than the SEC. I'm going to go with Tennessee. Who are you taking?
JJ, you and I are on the same page. We're both taking Tennessee. The other team the other game in the South, Michigan State Spartans.
Yeah,
going up against K-State.
Yeah, I mean K-State. They're kind of the darlings of the tourney in certain ways. They have the Florida transfer, Keontae Johnson. Who was earlier in contention for Big 12 Player of the Year. They have that 5'8" point guard.
Once you make your pick, we're going to talk about him more.
Yeah,
I love his game.
Yeah, very dynamic. And they have the Arkansas transfer, Desi Sills.
Desi Sills, that's correct.
He had 4 blocks in a game in the Big 12 tournament earlier. In the first 15 minutes of the game, actually, he had 4 blocks. Okay. So he just plays a lot of heart, a lot of hustle. I love to see him be successful. He's an Arkansas native.
Michigan State has they have a formidable backcourt themselves to match up with Kansas.
They do.
How would you evaluate that matchup, the entire matchup between Michigan State and Kansas?
I think Michigan State is actually pretty well equipped to match up with Kansas State. Kansas State, they do have a lot of talent. Their coach said, their first year coach said that they had better dudes than Kentucky. Those old guys aren't coming back.
He did.
He said all that, but Kansas State was still predicted to finish last in the Big 12 for a reason, and partly it was that because they had an unknown quantity at coach, and they had a lot of transfers and everything like that. But I think Michigan State is pretty well equipped. I think Tyson Walker does have the quickness and speed to keep up with. I'm forgetting his name, but the point guard.
Yeah.
The 5'8" point guard.
I'm not sure. I mean, they both got a lot of speed.
I think he does
Tyson
have
Walker's going back home to New York.
He's from Harlem.
But man, I think I would give Kansas a slight edge.
Kansas State.
I'm sorry, Kansas State. A slight edge right there. That's just me.
I would give them the edge, but I think he can be more competitive than Kentucky's Cason Wallace was able to be. I mean, Severe Wheeler would have actually been a better matchup, honestly, just with his speed too on him. But he didn't play for potentially being injured.
Now, this is maybe one of the best matchups there is in the Sweet 16 round.
Yeah,
I really like this matchup. I think it's going to be close.
I'm going to give the edge to Michigan State.
I was going to say that. Give me a chance, man. You went first, but I tell you what. Michigan State win the first round.
Yeah,
they will win the second round because in the second game in the tournament, with just one day to prep, I don't think there's anybody better than Tom Izzo.
Yeah.
I don't think there has been anyone better than Tom Izzo.
Yeah.
So if they win the game against K-State, book them into the Final Four.
They rarely do flame out in the Elite Eight. It's happened once in a while, but they normally. Texas's only Final Four, I think, was against Michigan State, and that was one of the time they didn't make it to the Final Four.
As I said, the Sweet 16 game, I think is going to be tough. I like the guards for both teams. I My heart got to go with Michigan State.
My heart isn't with. My heart might be with Kansas State on that, but my head is with Michigan State, and so is Vegas's because they have Michigan State as the 2-point favorite.
Okay.
And that might just be a coaching advantage thing because people know Izzo and a lot of casual people gamble in March, but I think Izzo does have like a decent team to match up with.
If Michigan State plays Purdue in the Elite Eight, played Tennessee in the Elite Eight, I would put the house on Michigan State. JJ, start of the year when the season first started, you had Michigan State. You won the Final Four, right?
I'm pretty sure I did it. I have to check my.
No, I'm just messing with you because when the season started, man, I hate to say it, I didn't even know if Michigan State would make the dance. And Izzo has made it 25 years in a row.
Yeah, he broke the streak he had tied with Coach K.
Were you comfortable in them making to the dance this year at the start of the season?
I thought they would make the tournament.
Okay.
But I didn't think that they would make it to the Sweet 16. If I'm being honest, what did you think at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, I just said I really did not think they had the talent to make it to the dance. I think the men in the middle was going to be a big issue for them.
Yeah.
But I it's good to see them doing well.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the right side of the bracket, JJ.
Let's
go.
The
Midwest. The team I had there is winning in the Sweet 16 and didn't make it, but Houston, number 1 seed. They and Alabama, the only 1 seeds left. Houston's going to match up against Miami.
Yeah.
You like Miami?
I do like Miami. I for the reasons I've already stated. They have 2 really good guards. They have Isaiah Wong, the junior, and then they have Nigel Pack, the sophomore. That's a dynamic experienced backcourt that went to the Sweet 16 last year. I think they played Iowa State in the Sweet 16. They can really give you what you want from that position. You need to be able to penetrate and attack. Isaiah Wong and Nigel Pack can both do that in different ways. That Pack is a little bit faster. Isaiah Wong is a little bit better of a shooter off the pull up. I like good guard play, and they have good guards.
I know you do. And Miami beat Indiana in the second round. I thought Indiana was going to come out of that and make it to the Sweet 16, but I was wrong there. So Houston, Miami. Who you got winning that one?
I'm going to go with Houston. I think they have better guard play than Miami.
And Sasser doesn't seem to have any effect from his groin injury.
Well, he looked pretty good against Auburn. I have to say that.
Yeah.
And then Mark looked good. And
you know what, boy, I would go with Houston too, just because they're the 1 seed. But you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if Miami win.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. But
let's go to the bottom part of the Midwest bracket.
Okay.
We got Texas, who defeated Penn State, going up against Xavier. A 3 against a 2.
Yeah.
Sound like a pretty good matchup.
Pretty chalky there.
How you like that one?
I'm going to go with the 2 in that. Marcus Carter's been playing a lot better than I thought he would, honestly, ever since he transferred from Minnesota. He's been playing like the senior leader that he should be. He's been able to play off the ball. He's been knocking down shots. I think Texas. Xavier's a really good team as well.
Yeah.
Sean Miller's a really good coach. You can say what you want about him being dirty and like all that. You can say that, but he can coach.
Okay.
Same thing with Rick Pitino. Same thing with Will Wade. Like there's a lot of guys that Same thing with Bill Self, who had to sit out.
That's true.
Kansas game. There's a lot of guys who say what you want about how they get the players that they get, but when they get them in their system, they can coach them up. And I think Sean Miller's one of those guys. But Texas's first year coach seems to be
half a year. Terry. Rodney Terry.
Yeah, right. Yeah. A little bit more than half a year.
Interim coach.
Definitely
right
interim coach. Yeah.
Currently the interim coach.
He seems to be. It's been a seamless transition over from Chris. What's his name? The Ole Miss coach, yeah, Chris Beard.
Okay, JJ, Texas, given that they've made it to the Sweet 16, will they take the interim tag off Rodney Terry?
I think Elite 8, they definitely will. But I think Texas is a big enough program where they think, we can really throw
Who's out there right now in your mind? Who's a big name out there for Texas if it's not Rodney Terry?
well, we just saw Providence's coach leave for Georgetown, and we saw Rick Pitino leave Iona for St. John's. So neither one of them are available. That's a good question. We know Mike Bray's, allegedly he's leaving Notre Dame for South Florida. Yeah, that's a great question. Who is out there?
I don't know. Okay, but JJ, who are you picking in that game?
Probably somebody that's still in the tournament.
You already said you were picking Texas.
I'm taking Texas. Who are you taking?
Hey, I got Texas winning the whole thing.
Oh, okay. That's a spoiler alert.
That is.
Spoiler alert for everyone.
So Texas against Houston. In Houston.
Yeah.
If that happened.
It'll be, like we said, I think we said it would probably be majority Texas fans.
Oh, it would. They would. I think all of them who could be there would be there.
Yeah.
Okay, JJ, let's go to the West before we get to wrap things out. In the West, the 4 teams left, we got Arkansas and UConn playing each other. Then we got Gonzaga and UCLA. So we got Arkansas is an 8.
Yeah.
UConn is a 4. Gonzaga is a 2. No, UCLA is a 2. Gonzaga is a 3.
Yeah.
Let's go with the Arkansas UConn. You know who I got, and the reason, and I'm gonna tell you why I got it. I think Arkansas potential being in the middle have not played up to their capability so far in the tournament. I think they can play better, and if their perimeter players continue to play like they are, and they get more play from the middle, I think they win.
Okay.
And you say UConn because?
I think UConn's gonna win because, like you said, it's a pretty chalky seed except for Kansas. If Kansas had made it, would have been the 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. I think UConn has been a better team this year for a reason. I think they have experienced guards. I think they have good guards. That's what you need to make a run in the NCAA tournament. And that they have the X factor in Sanogo. I think Jordan Walsh, as good as he has been on defense, Anthony Black, as good as he has been on defense, I think they're freshmen, and I think UConn has, the juniors, like the 6'9" guys that can really, take those guys down in the post and really do show the difference between a freshman and a seasoned vet. I think that they have the strength advantage, the experience advantage, and I don't think they have as much of a coaching advantage as they did in the last round without Bill Self. I mean, I think I'm a big fan of Dan Hurley.
Okay, JJ, let me ask you this question. I'm gonna preface my question by saying Arkansas, in the SEC tournament, they were the 10th seed out of 14 teams. They were the 10th seed in the SEC tournament. How good is the SEC?
The SEC is pretty good. Arkansas didn't finish with a below 500 record in the SEC.
They did finish with a below.
Yeah, they're pretty good, but
how did they compete with the Big Ten? They went head to head with the Big Ten over the past weekend in 4 games. Mm-hmm. If you count the NIT, Michigan and Vanderbilt. If you count the NIT,
I'm not going to count that.
I'm
okay.
I'm talking the conference right now.
Okay.
If you're just looking at the conferences, SEC won 3 of those 4 games.
Okay, well, not counting the NIT, the SEC did win 2 of those 3 games.
Okay.
But the SEC was the favorite, and Arkansas was 8 seed over a 9 seed Illinois. Penn State beat Texas A&M as an underdog.
Okay.
But I mean, the Big Ten put in a lot of 7 to 10 seeds this year.
So you think the Big Ten was tougher than the SEC this year?
I think it was comparable. I'd say probably, yeah. Okay. I'd say the Big Ten was probably tougher. I mean, I think the SEC probably had some more higher end teams, but I would say the Big Ten, was more consistent.
Okay. Let's go to the bottom of the West bracket.
Okay.
Gonzaga and UCLA. UCLA has they haven't played a super. Well, they didn't beat Northwestern. Yes, they did. They beat Northwestern. UCLA beat Northwestern. They haven't felt the hurt from the injuries they've sustained. So can they keep it up with the injuries that they've gotten?
Yeah, I mean, Amari Bailey is a freshman who's playing like a sophomore at this time of year, which is what you really need to have when you're relying on freshmen. He kind of plays the same position as Jalen Clark, and he's kind of stepped into that role. He hasn't he's not going to be like as great a defender, as experienced and have as high as a basketball IQ as a guy who's been there for a little bit longer. But I think just it being the end of the year, he hasn't run into the rookie or the freshman wall or whatever.
Okay.
They've been able to ease him into the year, like limit his minutes and keep him ready. I think he's ready. And then you have the Pac-12 Player of the Year and Jaime Jaquez. You have Tiger Campbell, a guy who was the point guard on the Final Four team 2 years ago.
Okay.
I mean, they have a lot of talent, and they have Mick Cronin.
Okay.
What do you think about UCLA?
I said it when the tournament began. I thought the injuries would hurt them big time. So far, that hasn't been the case. How did you see the matchup with Gonzaga?
I think that's a little bit different. Northwestern is and UNC Asheville. That's. I mean, those are good wins, but Gonzaga kind of has like the firepower to go against them. I mean, Timmy, I mean, I don't know who's going to match up against him. I don't know if you're going to put like Jaime Jaquez on him, but you're going to really test your defense. I imagine Timmy has the ability to get a lot of guys in foul trouble. So I mean, that's a toss up for me. Who do you got?
I got Gonzaga.
Yeah, Gonzaga.
I got Gonzaga. Gonzaga started the year off halfway decent. Then they kind of fell off. But in the last 10 games, to me, they've been playing pretty impressive, and I think they're peaking at the right time. I like Few, their coach Few. Timmy was a preseason Player of the Year candidate. I just think that they were going to be there. That's me. Those are my picks.
Okay. That
So how many
sense.
did we disagree on? We disagreed on Arkansas. We disagreed on.
Well, for the record, I'm going to take UCLA over Gonzaga.
Okay, so we disagreed on both teams in the West.
Yeah.
Games there. I think we were both on the same. We both had Houston, and we both had Texas in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
We both had Alabama in the South. We both had Alabama and Creighton, right? You had Creighton as well.
Yeah, I'm taking Creighton.
And we both in the East. We both had Tennessee winning, and we both had Michigan State beating Kansas State.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the West where we differ the most. All I say is WPS out in the West. Take home the bacon. What team could better take home the bacon, JJ, than the Arkansas Razorback?
I can't argue with that logic. All right.
WPS, we'll pick Sue. Hey, hit the like button if you think it was worthwhile. If you have a pick your own self, put it in there. Let us know who you got. I'm out of here, JJ. You got more?
I got nothing.
Hey, there it is.